Beauty comes in all shapes, sizes, colors, and forms. My life is about bringing out that beauty in everything and helping others do the same. Hello everyone, my name is Jewel, the owner, designer, and creator behind Shabby Boutique. If you want to see how I make my creations, the products I use, and how you can create your own home decor from new, thrifted, or found items, then keep watching. Hello, hello, hello. Guess what time it is? What you've all been waiting for. It is the IOD Summer Collection 2025 release day. And I am so excited to show you guys what we have. As usual, gorgeous collection. Already have my favorites. And then depending on how long this video goes, I'm also going to make a couple of items using the products. I might have to put them in separate videos. I know that not a lot of people like the hour or 2 hour long videos, which I apologize. Again, I'm very OCD, very detail oriented. And when I'm showing you guys, when I'm making things, I want you guys to understand that I'm not just trying to give you ideas. I am actually trying to teach you, inspire you, show you that it's not as hard as you think. I want to get you, into a comfort zone or out of your comfort zone, to, get you to try these things and inspire you. And I've always been kind of a teacher, and so not like a real teacher, but I like teaching people things. I like teaching people things because I like myself learning things. So I apologize, if you don't like the longer videos. I don't have a problem if you just fast forward through them. But understand too that you will, if you do that you will probably miss out on some of the key moments, where I'm showing you or explaining something to you. But that's beside the point. Anyway, so without further ado, let's get on with it. We are going to start off with the stamps. There is 4 stamps in the collection. This is the Mercy House Shatang, I believe is how you pronounce it. This one is kind of an African inspired I don't think, my lights are glaring, but I don't think it's too terribly bad. I think you can see that pretty well. This one, the 50% of the net profit from this one will go to the Mercy House, where they help women with education and health and things like that. There is, on the back of it, there's a whole blurb about it that you can read that explains everything. But this one, you've got some borders. I love the paisley. I've always been a paisley fan. And then like these remind me of like damask. Or damask, whatever. Everyone pronounces things differently. But then you've got like some, florals, some little berries and stuff. So even though it is, African inspired, sorry, there's still, it's not overboard, and these, you can find uses for all of these. I know a lot of people do the upcycled books, so this would be cool on the spine, or this one. There's just so many ways you can use it. You can use these as a center of a design. You can use these on the edge, like as a scallop. Just so many different things that you can do with these. And I like the fact that they have kind of that fabric look, with like if you see the little lines there, you can see it has kind of that fabric kind of feel to it, which I like because it gives it texture, and I'm all about texture. So this one again is Mercy House Shatang. We have been asking for some more background stamps. And this one is gorgeous. This one, you've got birds and you've got seed pods and botanicals. It is so pretty. You can stamp it on tissue paper and then, you know, like do your wet, not wet distressing, you know, where you wet the edge and then kind of tear it a little bit around the birds, or, you know, you can piece them together and do like a whole big section. I mean, you can actually stamp on what you're doing as well. And I guess I should tell you what this one is called. This one is called Folk Story, but I think it's lovely. And I love having a nice big background stamp like this. You know, besides the kindest regards and the Le Courrier and stuff like that. This one, you know, this is a full scale, you know, florals and everything. Kind of reminds me again, to be honest, of a fabric print. So that curtains, get some fabric and then stamp these on your curtains. Oh my gosh, that would be gorgeous. All right. We have been wanting this one for how long now? Like a long time. This one is called The Waltz, and we finally get a music sheet stamp. I am so excited for this one. And what's really cool is you can do the whole thing, or they are sectioned off so you can just use pieces and do like a border on furniture or something. You don't have to use the whole thing. Like with kindest regards, you kind of almost have to use the whole thing. Whereas with this one, you can take it apart, which is awesome. I love that. I can't wait to use this one. Again, that was called The Waltz. And then this one is inspired by book plates. In case you don't know what a book plate is, in old books, they would always have like stampings or engravings on like the inside the front covers and down the spines. And those are what they call book plates. And this is what that one is inspired, the lovely florals inside old antique books. And you've got borders. And this one is gorgeous. This on furniture, like on the drawers. Yes. And what I like about it too is that they made sure that the borders kind of went along with the little florals and stuff. And then you have some bits and pieces that go with it too, so that like you can use this, and maybe it's not quite long enough. You can use these to kind of, you know, at the ends to kind of lengthen it a little bit, or to fill in gaps. And they did that with both of these as well. But this one is really pretty. And I love on these two here, I love, and this one, I love the wispiness of it. It is so pretty. Definitely one of my favorites. And as usual, they do come with the masks, and I love the fact that they're printing on the masks so that you can actually see what it looks like, how it's supposed to go. All right, on to the molds. We have 4 molds. We have 2 of the regular 6x10s, and then we have 2 of these 5x7s that are the super thick ones. And just like last time, they have the name on the side because, like I said, I store mine in one of those rolly carts on the side like this. So it's nice because I can actually see what it is. This one is Chanticleer. Oh, I've already got glitter on it. Look at that. I always have glitter everywhere. Anyway, and this is 2 roosters. These are symmetrical, so you can back to back them if you like. But I love, they're so deep and so detailed. And I love these flourishes because of the fact that they're deep, so they actually kind of go with this. I love the flourishes in the other ones, but when you have a mold that's so deep, you kind of need those flourishes that are a little deeper, that kind of matches it. These are going to be amazing to work with. I can imagine all kinds of stuff with that. Again, that was Chanticleer. And then we have Leonidas, which is a lion head. And there's a couple of little filigrees. Now this one, it's on the end rather than the side. So, but I always write in on the side of mine anyway, so it doesn't matter, but it still tells you like how much you need to fill them if you're going to use resin, which I love that about IOD because I hate making too much and wasting it. And the details on these, like I said, these are the thicker ones, the 5x7s, and the details are incredible on these. Again, that's Leonidas. And then, how did I get Life of a Crafter, paint and glitter everywhere. This one is called Unicorns. Now these aren't back to, you can't do back to back because they're not identical. I mean, with clay you might be able to kind of work it together, but I love these flourishes with the roses. They're so pretty. And I know everybody's been into kind of the fairy, mystical, mythical inspiration the past couple of years. And I mean, what is more mythical than a unicorn? And the great thing is in this next mold that I'm going to show you, you can actually take, this one is called Heraldry. And if you want to turn your unicorn into a pegacorn or a unicis, whichever, you can actually use these wings on it. They're about the right size, I would say. This one is Heraldry. Let me go ahead and put this one out of the way. And the details on these wings, I don't know if you can see that, but that is a lot of detail. And on these wings, which I do a lot of art, the flaming heart, as an artist, I've always been in love with kind of like the rosaries. I'm not Catholic, but I admire the artwork in the rosaries and in the flaming hearts, burning hearts, and all that. And what's really cool is these wings actually will fit around this heart, and it will fit around basically all of these. You might have to manipulate them, manipulate them. Words are hard today, sorry. But it's cool that you can, like the crown, you can put the wings on either side of it. And again, the details are amazing. Like these themselves would just make great ornaments. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And that one is called Heraldry. Then we're going to get into the transfers, and we will start with the little ones. There's 4 transfers, 2 small ones and 2 large ones. They are all the 8 sheet, so you get 8 pages. This one is called Home Sweet Home, and this one is kind of a vintage inspired kitchen, or vintage kitchen inspired. Again, words are difficult today. So you get But First coffee. You get a nice border that you can use. This one would make a great, make something and put that on there for a good Father's Day gift coming up. And then you have your canister set. There's actually several different fonts for canister sets. So here's another font set. And this is kind of a brown and a cream color. And I love the little vintage stars. And then here's another one. This one would be another good one for a Father's Day gift. Because, you know, dads like to cook too. I love the little cake. It's so cute. And then you got breakfast, time for tea. I love the vintage artwork. And then if you're repurposing or redoing a bread box, there's a nice bread one. And then you have a coffee pot, coffee cup or a teacup. And then these are more the cream and brown again. This one's navy and then black and gray. And here's some more kitchen theme stuff. I love that rooster, so cute. So pretty. And I love this vintage coloring where it looks old. And then there's another one that would be a good Father's Day gift, or for the anchovy lover in your family. And that is it for that one. That is so cute. I've actually got some canisters. I'm going to put those on. I've been trying to figure out what to do with them. Now I know. This one is called Sarah Featon's Botanicals. And this is another 8 sheet in the 8x12. And this one is full of all kinds of hand painted flowers. I love the feminine quality and kind of like the wispiness, but then you've got some bold things like the berries here. It's a mix, but there's so much to work with. Imagine all the smalls that you can do, or you can disperse them throughout a big piece of furniture. But see, like this one is a nice bold one, but then there's a bunch that are, you know, wispy and more dainty as well. Oops. Lots of daisies, which I love daisies. Hopefully you can see those. And then this is, I mean, you could cut it apart if you want to, but that's a pretty decent size one that you can use all together. I like the fact that there's different colors of daisies, not just the white or the yellow. And here's some more. And I like the fact that there's all different colors. There's pinks, there's purples, there's yellows, there's reds, there's blues, there's white. So it gives you a lot of options. You don't just, you know, where roses are usually pink, red, yellow, white, you know, you're getting a bunch of different colors. Oranges, look at that. And that is all for this one. These would be pretty, especially on canisters, or, you know, everybody likes doing like the painting the old silver pitchers and stuff. Just think of all the silver pitchers that you can paint and add the florals to. This is a good one. You can get all kinds of projects done with that one. Okay, and then we have Menagerie, which is another 8-sheet 12 by 16. And this one is a bunch of birds and branches and florals and some fruits. Bird cages. I think there's 4 bird cages. But I like the fact that there's like individual flowers. So you can put a bird cage on, and then you can put a couple flowers at the top just to kind of decorate it. And you can hang the bird cages from a branch, because there's all kinds of branches in here. I love hydrangeas. And look at the bird. Look at the detail in that bird. It's so pretty. There is another, another bird cage. And again, I like the diversity of, you've got branches, you've got separate florals, but then you have floral bunches. And there is another bird cage. And look at the bird. It's like a little parakeet. So cute. Sorry. The book is not wanting to cooperate. Here we go. Yeah, when my husband and I met, he had some parakeets. And look at that. More birds. There's a peach. And some more florals. More branches. So you could have the branches going across the drawers on a piece of furniture or on a big sign. And there's another bird cage. I'm gonna have to count how many bird cages are in here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think there's 4. Oops. You have a pair. There's another bird. You have a branch that has some little blossoms and stuff on it. And there is another parakeet. I think that's a parakeet. Pretty sure. And then you have some plums. And then you have more branches. That's a bigger one of the smaller one that was on the last page. And then look at these birds here. Aren't they pretty? You have another pair. The details on the birds are amazing. I love those. And then another bird cage. Another peach, some more plums. I'm not sure what that's supposed to be. So yeah. So this one, with it being a little bit bigger size-wise, you have stuff that you can do on smalls and everything, but this one, you know, is more for bigger items. But I love the bird cages, and I love that they're kind of like in the Home Sweet Home one, how they've got that vintage look, like old drawings. So pretty. Lots of ideas for these. And then the last of the regular transfers, and this one is my favorite because everyone who knows me knows that I love me some roses. This one is Saint Germain. Again, it's 12 by 16 and there's 8 full color sheets. And look at those roses. They're so fluffy and the details are incredible. They look like watercolor paintings. I love them. So this is definitely, out of all the transfers, I love them all, but this is definitely my favorite. If it's got roses, I mean, who can go wrong with that? So there's 2 of these big ones that are the opposite, so you can put them on drawers or on some big furniture. I like, it's got the floral, but then I like the kind of shadowed look, or the kind of, I don't know what you really call it. Like it almost looks like it's in the background. Like here, this is lighter than what's up in front. You see some of the stuff behind it, which gives it depth and dimension. I love that. I have a sideboard between my living room and kitchen upstairs, and this is going to go on there for sure. I've been waiting for the perfect transfer to put on there, so it's going to get a makeover. But I love, like, again, so you have your main roses, and then you have in the background, you have these lighter versions. And like I said, it just gives it that depth and dimension that, oops, sorry, that the transfers usually don't have. And the amount of color in these, like you can pair these with so many different colors. You've got some lavender, so French millinery in the DIY paint would be gorgeous. You got a little bit of the like azure in the cottage color. You've got some of the fire starter and liquid sunshine and queen bee, and just, you know, tons of different colors. This would be a good one for, is it juniper in the Sweet Pickins milk paint? I know Sweet Pickins has a color that matches that like perfectly. I can't think offhand what color it is, but there's so many colors that you could pair this with because it just has so many colors in it. And then I like, these are brighter. Just a lot of options, tons of options. Just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And I guess I should be kind of moving these around. I apologize. So you could see them, get a better view. And these are really pretty too. These would be cool like on doors, like on a china cabinet, because you know how usually the china cabinets will have like the drawers on the sides, and then like or doors, sorry, on the sides, and then like the the drawers in the center. And these would be really pretty on the drawers, and then you could fill in on the drawers. These would be, sorry, words are just not working for me today. Oh my gosh. These would look good on the doors, and then you could fill in on the drawers with some of the smaller ones. Oh my gosh. And then there's a couple butterflies, and I love the, again, like the watercolor look of them. So pretty. And another butterfly. You got what looks like some hollyhocks here. But you get, in this one, I like because you get the best of both worlds. You get some of the, like the roses and stuff that are more muted, but then you also get these florals that have pops of color. So you can go one way or you can go the other. You can go bright, you can go bold, you can go more muted. But then yet they're still feminine, they're still romantic, they're still, you know, but you could take that boho, you know, I mean, this one is very versatile, which is why it is one of my favorites besides the roses. But you got some little, almost looks like filigree in the ends of the florals. But see, this is, you know, one that's a little more muted, and then you've got this that's a little brighter, but it works together because the colors are in the same palettes, just in different tones or brightness. So yes, this is my favorite transfer. And again, that was Saint Germain. Now we have one gilded in this collection, but the other gilded, in the smaller ones, they were 8 sheets, and in the larger ones, they were only 4 sheets. This one is called Emporium, and you get 8 12 by 16 sheets, and they are backgrounds. So I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this. This one is like ledger paper. Hopefully you can see that. And look at this one. This is a nice background. Again, you can use these on drawers, you can use them on doors, you can use just small pieces. But this is kind of like a floral print. Reminds me of an old wallpaper, like in the 20s and 30s. The kind of Hollywood Regency style. And then this one is some script. Again, nice background. You can put these on glass bottles. You can put them on book covers of altered books. You can use these on the backgrounds, obviously, of the transfers and a picture frame. That would be so pretty. Kind of like what I did with the last release, where I took from the Sea Belle. Was it the Sea Belle? Or the Petite Ornaments? I think it was the Petite Ornaments that had like the picture frame ones, and I used those with transfers in the middle from the Katerina book of transfers. And then again, this one reminds me of old wallpaper. So pretty. And then look how dainty this one is. It's like an old damask. So pretty. And again, you can use them as a whole sheet. And then don't forget too, that you can use sizing, and once you've taken off the transfer, then the rest of it you can use with sizing. So once you do that, those full sheets of prints, then you can go back and use the whole thing and have your paint color show through in the spots where the transfer was. And then this one is like some newspaper print. And then here is another background. Like I said, these inspirations have got to be taken from old wallpaper, because that's definitely what they remind me of. So pretty. And then this one is tulips and roses. Again, another nice background. So you get 8 sheets in this one. And I think they knocked it out of the park, definitely with this one, as far as the gilded transfers go. Obviously, we all love the other ones, but the fact that this one is full of backgrounds, you know, you can use these on furniture, you can use these on smalls, you can, you know, use these for so many different things when you have a full page like that, because you can cut them up. All right, and we have 2 paint inlays for you. And again, these are 8, both of them are 8 sheets, 12 by 16. This one is Floriography. And I know my husband, when he does my editing, he will flip these around for you so you can actually read them the right way. But these are all like labels and signs. And there's so many. Oh my gosh, the uses for these are incredible. And again, they have, this one is more versatile because they have feminine and more masculine looking things, labels. So you can use these for gifts for Father's Day coming up. This is a nice big one. This one takes up the entire sheet and it is so pretty. And these are kind of a soft black. They're not quite black, but like a dark charcoal, almost black. And then here's more like perfume labels. So pretty. And the details, like, I don't know if you can see, oops, sorry, the details on that filigree there, and the details on those hydrangeas. So pretty. They look like, they remind me of etchings. Again, here's some more florals. And they're just so pretty. It's like they took them out of old botanical etching books or out of old newspapers. And then even these would be great just to... Okay, I'm back. I apologize, but my camera got overheated and it quit when I was in the middle of doing this. So I'm back. I don't remember what I was saying, but probably what you could use this for, and obviously my whole train of thought is gone because that was like an hour ago. Anyway, but these flowers are gorgeous. Like I said, they look like etchings from old books, and I love them. And we'll move on to the next one. These again are so pretty. They're so intricate. Like, they just, so much detail. They are just so pretty. You can see the detail on the tulip. Again, look at the filigree. The It's just crazy how much detail. And to think that it's paint. It is just, it's crazy. And another one. This will turn it this way. Some gorgeous roses. You know that one's going to be my favorite. It's just so pretty, so detailed. They have gotten better and better with every paint inlay that they do. I swear they just keep getting better and better and better. And this is the last sheet, and here again we have more of the labels. Violets and daisies and of course rose, primrose. They're just, I love old labels. Somewhere in storage I have all my ephemera that I have collected over the years, and I have old postcards and labels and all kinds of stuff. I just love it. Okay, so again, that was the Paint Inlay Floriography. Try to get those in there so they don't get all wrinkled up. Okay. And then the last item in the summer collection is the last paint inlay, and it is called Ditzy Blooms. Again, it is a 12 by 16, and again, it is 8 full sheets. And of course, this one reminds me of everybody's favorite, the chintz rose, or the chintz one that they had come out with. I still get people asking me, can you find that for me? And I do have a couple in my stash that I've already opened and used some of them. And I don't even want to use them because I don't want to use them all up and then not have them. But this is gorgeous. It's pinks and greens, and then you've got hints of purple. Very like old wallpaper, very vintage. Definitely a chintz. But it can work with French country, it can work with shabby chic, it can work with the granny chic and cottage core. And then again, you have some trims and some little individual ones. And this, you can, I don't know if you can see, but there's actually, that has white in the background, so it's a ribbon. It's so pretty. Okay, and then here's one that you can use as a background, and it's just a dark kind of pinky, it's not red, but it's kind of like a pinkish red, but it leans more towards the coral side than like, you know, like a warm pinky red rather than like a bright, like Kissing Booth DIY paint. Very, very pretty though. You can use that as a background for some of the gold foil or the gilded, or for making signs. This is another one, super, super pretty. This reminds me of an old Laura Ashley print. So pretty. And on this one, the ribbon is kind of like a lavender color with the little roses in it. Very, very pretty. And then of course, the possibilities on these are endless. Besides using on furniture, you can, again, use them on altered books. You can use them as a background for signs. And is that the same as the other sheet? Get down to it. Yeah, so you get 2 of these sheets. That would be so pretty. One of those, you know, the tall jewelry boxes that have like the sides that open and the top opens and has all the drawers. That would be so pretty to combine all of these. You know, like do different patterns on the drawer fronts. It would be so pretty. And then here you've got your pink little pink roses. It's got a little touch of purple in there and lavender, but then you bring in the color of yellow. So pretty. Again, this reminds me of another vintage Laura Ashley fabric. And then you have that same print as before, except for it's in a lavender color. And it's so pretty. And I like this shade because it's more of a neutral purple. It's not a bright in your face purple. So because of that, it can still stay kind of in the neutral family. And then this is a second sheet of that purple. Laura Ashley. So you get 2 sheets of this and you get 2 sheets of the chintz and then 1 sheet of each of the other ones. Well, that is it for this collection. You guys let me know in the comments what you think. What is your favorite? You know, the Saint Germain is my favorite. And then of course I love all the roses and stuff and the paint inlays. And then the watercolor florals from the Sarah Featon's Botanicals. So, so pretty. I am going to start working on some stuff, and like I said, depending on how long this video is and how long the other videos come out, depends on whether they will be included with this. I'm sure I'll do at least one, but then I might have to break them up, but I'm gonna do at least 3 projects. So I guess until then, I will bid everyone adieu, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye. Okay, for this project I have this frame, and I am going to use some white Salvation solution on the glass because I'm going to be doing a paint inlay on here, and I want to make sure that my paint sticks to the glass. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my alcohol just to make sure there's nothing on it and clean it off. I want to make sure that it is going to stick really well. Now the DIY Salvation Solution is a stain blocker and a primer, but it also helps when you have a slick surface like this, that it helps your paint adhere to it. And normally I use the clear. This is the first time I'm using the white. Make sure I'm getting this all the way around. But I'm going to be painting this white, so I figured I have the white. It'll just save me from having to put so many coats on the glass. And that was probably way more than what I needed. That's the one thing I love about DIY products is a little bit goes a long way. So I don't need that anymore. I can set that aside and I can use that on something else later. Okay, now that our Salvation Solution is dry, actually this is the next day. So it's been sitting overnight, which you always want to try to do if you can, but if you can't, it works just the same. I forgot to mention that all the DIY products are natural, and if you notice that the Salvation Solution, the white one, was very creamy, shall we say. Sometimes when you get it, it will be thin. Sometimes it'll kind of remind you of marshmallow fluff. It doesn't matter. It all works the same. Sometimes with it being natural, you know how things go. Every time you bake a cake, it doesn't come out exactly the same, and it's kind of the same thing. But it all works. It all works the same. Just the consistency may be a little different. I did notice that when I was cleaning the glass yesterday, I don't know if you can see on there, there's a little bit of yellow that came off of the gold. I do not want that to bleed. So as a precaution, I am going to go ahead and paint the gold part with the clear Salvation Solution. And the reason why I'm going with the clear is because I want to go back and wet distress and have some of the gold come through. So I put my Salvation Solution, again, these are natural products, so you don't necessarily want to be dipping into the containers. So I put a little bit, here's the can of the Salvation Solution. And I just noticed, and I never noticed this before, but the clear has a black chair and the white has a red chair. Anyway, silly little side note. I put my Salvation Solution in a little jar and then use it from there. Just so I'm not contaminating the can, because a little bit goes a long way. And so, unless you're doing some huge piece of furniture, it's going to take you a while to go through that can. So this is really good stuff. It is a great primer for bleed through. It is a great primer for getting things to stick to like glass and other surfaces like that. So if you're doing like a, we all love to repaint canisters and stuff and redo them. The Salvation Solution is great for that because it really lets that paint adhere. And as usual, as I'm working, I may get a little quiet or a little monotone. I don't mean it. I apologize. It's just, you know, when you're trying to think and work at the same time, you know. And then when I'm trying to get like down into all these grooves, I just kind of like swirl my paintbrush, and I'm using an old one. I actually finally got me a couple more sets of artist brushes. As a matter of fact, I don't know if in your local Walmart or not, but in my local Walmart, they had the big artist brush sets like this on sale for like $8, I think. $8.99, something like that. So I got several packs of them because I use them a lot with decoupage, with Mod Podge. And the Mod Podge has a way of making your brushes kind of sticky and like this after a while, you know? Which I think I've mentioned this before, because Mod Podge has kind of a plasticky, I don't even know what it's made from, but it has kind of like a plasticky consistency to it. It does tend to build up in your brushes and stuff. And like I said, you know, after a while, I've been using these for years. After a while, it starts getting up into the ferrule, and then they will splay out like this, and you cannot get that out. But one of the things that I have found when using Mod Podge is that if you rinse them out with cold water rather than hot water, it actually helps keep from getting your brush, I don't know, it's like it builds up on there, and it's like when you use the heat, it causes it to stick to the bristles. So I use cold water, and it definitely helps keep it from like adhering to the bristles and washes out. And then every once in a while I will do a good clean excuse that noise. I have my phone on silent, but for some reason it still makes noise when I get a text message. Ever since I did the latest update, for some reason, things that used to not make noise, and things that didn't make noise don't. And I haven't been able to figure it out yet, so. Oh, I was saying that every once in a while I will do a good clean of my brushes and the ones that I've been using with Mod Podge and stuff, and it still doesn't get it all out, but it gets a majority of it out. That yellow spray bottle of Lysol cleaner, I will kind of spray some in my hand and then clean the bristles as good as I can, and it will take away a lot of that kind of buildup that gets on your bristles. And I think I mentioned that in other videos, but just in case I didn't. Okay, we're gonna let this dry, and then we will start painting. Okay, now that that is dry, I am going to take DIY Tarnished Pearl, and I haven't even opened this one yet. And I'm going to take my DIY paintbrush with the pointy end, since I have all these little cracks and crevices I have to get into. And I'm going to start with what's in the lid. And I'm just going to paint the entire thing. And again, as I'm painting, I'm doing that swirling motion, even with the pointy brush, to make sure that everything gets down in there. And all those little grooves and nooks and crannies. These are such pretty frames. Lots of detail. When you're painting something that has this many details, make sure you look at it from all angles, because a lot of times you'll look at it and you'll be like, oh, it's all covered. And then you turn it the opposite direction and you're like, oh, missed a bunch. Try to keep from getting paint on the back, because it has that velvet back on there. This is such a, this tarnished pearl is kind of like a pale taupey color. I really like it. Definitely has a grayish taupey undercast. Let's see if there's a big clump of paint in there. Okay, now that that is second coat on the sides, second coat in the center, I'm going to go ahead and dry it. All right, now done with the paint. And I am going to do my little trick just in case I need to do any touch-ups or anything later. I also have another project that I think I might be using this color on. So what's the point in cleaning out the brush, right? So I take a paper towel, use my little mister bottle, spray the paper towel really well. Sorry, I don't want to spray it over my desk. And you want to wet your paper towel really well. And then I will cover that over. And then that way it stays moist. Okay. I'm gonna set this aside because I need to do some cutting. I get out my handy dandy little scissors. I love these things. I am going to be taking the Choreography, and which one was it I was gonna do? I think it was the back page. Oops. Okay. I'm going to be taking this, and I want this violet one. I'm cutting it out. Setting that aside. And oops, I need to cut that point off. And I like to cut pretty close. Oops. Around my paint inlays. Okay, so this is going to go down here at the bottom. So, grab my paint again. Kind of get an idea how much I need to do. Stick that back in my wet paper towel. And I'm going to give this just a little bit of a mist. I'm going to do a slight mist on my paint. For one, when you mist it, you can see your design a little better. Now, I only push where my design is. I don't push around the edges of the paper. Just where the design is. And then that pushes the ink, or the paint in. Smooths out like the center section, but then your edges of your paper isn't fully pressed into your paint, and therefore you won't get like that hard edge that the paper can sometimes leave. And we're just going to set this aside to dry. Okay, now that this is dry, you can tell that it's dry because it lightens up again. But you do want to make sure that your paint underneath is completely dry. So I always kind of tap on it. You can tell if it's still wet. Then you want to spritz it with your water. This will reactivate the paint. And I just kind of rub it around a little bit just to make sure that that's... There we go. And then you're going to take a corner or an edge, which this one was lifted up as the paper dried. There we go. And the reveal. So pretty, look at that. Oh my gosh. And then don't forget, you can get more than one use out of these. It will lighten every time because it is paint and you're removing that paint. But you can get more than one use. You should be able to get at least 2, if not 3, and possibly 4. Especially if you're want to do it like in a background where it's just subtly there, you can definitely get a third or fourth use out of it. But that is so pretty. And I don't know if you can tell, but because I didn't use a brayer and I didn't push the edges of the paper in, you don't get that harsh line. There may be somewhat of a line, but it's not going to be as harsh as if you used a brayer and pushed that paper down into the paint. Okay, now that that is dry, you can see a little bit of a halo, but not much. But you can also take a piece of, you can take a little piece of sandpaper or a fingernail file, and you can kind of go around the edges of that, which I might do here in a minute. Anyway, so if you see that little line, and just like that, it's gone. Just a little bit of sanding. All right. Now, we do have gorgeous transfers, but this one says Violet, so I wanted to put a violet in there, and unfortunately in the transfers that came with Iron Orchid Designs, there's a couple violets in there, but they're too big to fit this space. So we're going to go back to Wildblumen, and I saw a violet in here that fits perfectly. I don't remember if it was that one. Yeah, it was that one. So I'm going to use this. But it also shows that you can mix and match all of your IOD. And then it all works together. So that was the Wildblumen, I think is how you pronounce it. Anyway, so that will fit perfectly in there. I think I'm going to do it sideways. I think that would look good. And I'm going over the paint inlay a little bit, and I think it kind of brings it together. And I go over the transfer first. Kind of going over the whole thing. This out of the way. And then always have a hard time getting them started. There we go. I need to start putting like a little piece of paper or something under there to help me lift it. There you go. And remember, the great thing about transfers is if for some reason it sticks to the plastic and not your project, you just lay it back down. Like right there, that little piece of leaf. So this is really a goof-proof way. Sorry, I did it again. It's a goof-proof way to add a little bit of adornments to your projects. Sometimes those little pieces can be finicky. And as I get to like the bottom area, just so that this doesn't move in case I do need to lay it back down, I always lay it back down and hold on to it so that it's in the right spot. And then make sure that that part adheres down. And of course I can never get it back up again. All right, remember the side that it was on is the side that you're going to use to burnish. And I will say, the more you burnish, it seems that, I don't know how to describe it, it becomes more, becomes one with the piece the more you burnish. Like, all transfers have a slight halo around them, and it's like the halo kind of goes away. And I'm going to take a paintbrush, get rid of those little pieces, and there you go. Now I'm going to wet distress. And everyone knows that I don't use a whole baby wipe. I always cut just kind of what I need off. For some reason, these are like really super wet too, so I don't want to get too much water on these. And I'm just going to start distressing it back to the gold. And if you find that you're having a hard time in a certain area, like maybe the paint's really thick and you can't get down to your base coat, just kind of let the moisture from water or your baby wipe kind of sit on it for a minute and then go back and do it. and it will come right off. Get a little bit on that inside part of the frame there. And I think that is good. Okay. And there you go. I just wanted a slight distressing, which is why I didn't mind that the top part or the frame part didn't have a full coat of paint, because I wanted just hints of the gold to come out. And the one thing I do like about using kind of like a baby wipe or something that's wet, I guess, or wetter, and using the same place. So like you can see, I was using the center for the whole thing, and there's paint on there, which, I mean, I know it's hard to see because it's kind of a white on white, but I will continue to use that same spot. And I don't know if you can notice, but on the gold, it has kind of a white cast to it. It's not so bright. Like right here, it's very bright. But here, you've got just a thinnest layer of paint on there. And I love that look. So that's a hint, or a tip, or a trick, or whatever you want to call it. And don't forget, keep these. These are great for using as a palette, you know, using your gold wax. You can, I do it mainly for my waxes or whatever, but you know, like here's one that I used. I use it for my gold wax. You can use it for your dark wax, your black wax, your clear wax. Excuse me. But you can use them, put a little paint on. I mean, you have them. They are waterproof. So I am going to use clear wax on this. Okay. Now that everything is dry, we've got our transfer on, then I am going to wax this, which I mentioned before. You do not have to seal your paint inlays with the clear coat. You can seal them with wax. And as a matter of fact, sealing them with wax, you don't have to worry about it smudging and smearing like you do, you know, if you don't do it properly with the clear coat. So I like, if I can, I like just sealing it with wax. But I want you guys to take another look at that. Look how crisp those lines are. Oh my gosh. They're paint inlays. Again, they just keep getting better and better and better and better. All right, so I'm going to use my DIY wax. You can use whatever wax you want. I always, my paint, I will use the same stir stick over and over and over again. But the cool thing is that you'll have the paint on there, and then you can write what color it is and what brand and everything. And then you have a little sample, so when you need to match something, you can. So this is my clear wax one. And I am going to go ahead, I only get out a little bit at a time, but I'm going to go ahead and use my little transfer piece here to put my wax on. I like the Sweet Pickins wax as well. It is the same wax, basically. They're both beeswax. They're both all natural. The DIY wax doesn't really have much of a smell. The Sweet Pickins one is a kind of an orangey, citrusy smell. So sometimes I like using that just because I like the smell of it. But any wax will do. So I'm going to take my wax brush. I like to kind of load, just like with paint, I like to kind of load the wax in there. And I'm going to start in the middle. I'm going to start in the middle. Get the wax all in there. Make sure you get in all the nooks and crannies. I will be selling this, so I want to make sure it's good and sealed so that for whoever purchases it, oh my gosh. Again, words are hard sometimes. Whoever purchases it will be able to clean it. Obviously not clean it, you know, like, you know, with cleaner on it, but you can take a damp cloth and go over it, or a dry cloth and dust it and not have to worry about ruining it. Oops. Also, I'm going to be doing dark wax over it, so I want to make sure that I do get a good coat on there, so that when you put the dark wax or the black wax over top, that you will get a nice even coating. And as you can see kind of see where you've waxed, because it will be darker, just like when it's wet. And as you can see, as you put the wax on, your paint is going to lighten up. Just like when you're actually painting, how the paint looks see-through until it dries, and that is because of the clay. But once the wax dries, it will become opaque again. This tarnished pearl color is a really good, looks like I'm gonna have to glue that backing on there. Anyway, the tarnished pearl color is a really good color for those that like to do the concrete look, because it is a taupey based white. It does kind of have that, you know, concrete look. So it is a great either base coat or the top coat, or, you know, whatever, however you're doing it. Some people like to start with a dark base, some people like to start with the light base, but it does lend itself very, very well to that concrete look, or even the look of plaster. It is a great color. One of the things that I've, some of the videos that I've been wanting to do is, I know that, like, when I first started using DIY paint, I know that, you know, in your monitor, it's hard to tell what color, you know, or from even like the little paper, things that you get from the various paint companies showing you kind of what the paint looks like. That is the one thing I do like about Milk Paint, is they have their paper print off, but you can also order from them a paper that actually has the paint swatches on it, so you can actually see the color. But I know that from looking online or whatever, I know I was having issues trying to figure out, like I was looking for a red, and I was trying to figure out, like, what is the differences between the reds? Is one an orange tone red? Is one a pink red? Like, is this one a true red? And so some of the videos I would like to do is actually explaining the undertones of some of the colors, starting with the whites, because there are several whites. There's vintage linen, there's the tarnished pearl, there's white swan, there's beadboard. I feel like I'm missing, but there's a lot of whites in the DIY line, and they all have different undertones. And sometimes, you know, you need to know what is that undertone to make sure that it's going to go with the project that you're working on. Just getting those little bare spots there, and I think we are done. Anyway, so some of the videos I would like to do is just talking about the colors and what their undertones are, and kind of showing you. I'm going to take this leftover and I'm going to go over this again just to make sure it's good and sealed. Okay, I'm going to take a regular paintbrush and kind of brush it off, because I know using the chip brushes you're always going to have those little pieces of hair, and then also if there's any like what's the word I'm looking for, any clumps of wax anywhere, then you can catch them and even them out, especially when you're dealing with you know, a very ornate piece. All right, so that is done, and now do I want to use dark wax or black wax? Okay, now I'm going to take some black wax. Again, I just do a little bit at a time. And I'm going to go ever so slightly round. Now I'm going around the edges. I'm not really going to go in the middle. Just because I want it to look like, you know, it's dirty around the edges. With the black, especially in the little nooks and crannies, to give it that aged look. Okay, now we have all the black wax on there. Set my brush aside. Set that aside. And I do refill my small jars. Again, it's an all-natural product. You don't want to contaminate it. So I just refill from the big jars, or from the big cans, I refill my small ones. Okay, now I'm going to go over and wipe back all of that black wax. Oop. I don't like leaving fingerprints, and sometimes you can do that. So it's always best to use another cloth to hold your item as you're wiping away the wax. Now I'm trying to wipe away most of the wax because I don't want it to be too dark. Which is why you put the clear wax on first, because if I were to just put this directly on there, it would be super dark. But I think that is looking lovely. And I know they're dirty, but most of it is stained. Then for those areas where you want to remove a little bit of that black wax, I'm going to take a little bit, rub it in. You can kind of go over and remove a little bit. On the high points. And the other thing you can use the clear wax for is for blending. Because, like I said, I only want the darkness kind of around the outside. So I'm going to kind of blend that in so it doesn't look so streaky. Don't be afraid to use your waxes and blend. Oops. You can just blend with a soft cloth or a soft paintbrush. If it dries out too quickly, you can always, like I put the clear wax on there because I knew that it was a little streaky and I knew that it had already started to dry a little bit. Okay. I love that. Oh, I was going to do a little bit on the top too. Bring back a little bit of that original color on that area as well. All right. The other thing you can do if you wanted to, if it wasn't light enough, you could do a little bit of dry brushing over the top, and then do a slight wet distress again, and then go over it with the clear wax. But if you go back over it with the clear wax, you just want to do a light touch just on the parts that you painted, because you can start removing your dark wax again. I've said it before, say it again, nothing removes wax like wax. Kind of like Sharpie. If there's Sharpie on something and you want to remove it, not on fabric, but like on glass or something like that, and you don't have any alcohol, which for anyone who doesn't know, alcohol and hairspray, because most hairsprays are majority alcohol, you can use that to get Sharpie off. You can use it to get Sharpie out of fabric. But it's kind of like that. You know, you got Sharpie on glass, you can't get it off, Sharpie it real quick, wipe it off, and the Sharpie removes the Sharpie. Anyway, this is it. This is what it looks like. And I know this was only a small project. Unfortunately, during filming, my husband got called. He's going to have to go out of town. So I'm going to have him edit these videos, or this video real quick, and then I'm going to go ahead and do a couple other projects, and we will get those out later on this week or next week, at least one of them. But he's on call and he has to go in the morning, so we only have time to do the one project right now. But it's done, and I think it came out beautifully. It definitely has that old world French country charm. It is absolutely beautiful. My intentions were to obviously use more of the items in the collection in this video, but I did want to show you guys the new paint inlays, because like I said, every time they come out with paint inlays, they get better and better and better. And those, just how crisp those lines are. Just, I mean, look at the lettering. It's amazing. I love their paint inlays. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed this project. I hope you enjoyed me showing you everything in the release. Don't forget that you can get all IOD, DIY paint, cottage color, painterly paint, you know, waxes, goodies from the DIY line, as well as all the items from the Sweet Pickins Milk Paint line. You can get all of that in my Etsy shop. I am working on my website. It's taking a while because it's a lot of product I have to upload. But that will be available soon. I will let you know in a future video when that is available. All of my Etsy shops will eventually be on my website. So I'm looking forward to that. That way you can shop all of my items, all my craft supplies, my DIY supplies, my Shabby Boutique Etsy, which is the French Country Romantic. But then I also have Parsley and Chives, which is more like kind of farmhouse, more architectural salvagey, industrial, I guess is the word. Farmhouse, kind of industrial. And then I also have My Vintage Sweets, which is more of like the vintage kitsch, lots of pinks and aquas, cutesy, you know, things that you would have seen in like the 50s and 60s, bottle brush tree type things. Anyway, so eventually those will all be on my website, so you can shop everything all in the same cart, as well as besides in my Etsy shops. I remember I have the 2 painted tree locations in the St. Louis, Missouri area. There is a painted tree in Ballwin, Missouri, and a painted tree in Maplewood, Missouri. And I didn't say maple tree this time. I'm proud of myself. Anyway, so you can get all of my products either locally or online. If you have any questions at all, I am always here to help. So feel free to leave comments below. You can follow me on my Facebook page. You can ask me questions there. I am always here to help you with the project, give you more information on a product, whatever you guys need. That's part of the joys of doing what I do, is helping others inspire, help others create, give people tips and tricks. I've been doing this for a very, very long time. And if I can share my knowledge and help one person, then it makes it all worth it. So again, if this is not your cup of tea, I appreciate you being here. I know everybody doesn't like the same thing. I mean, personal preference. You know, I'm sure there's other people out there, or maybe one day I'll do a project that you will like. But until then, I will see you guys later. Let me know what you think of the products from IOD from the summer collection, and let me know what you think about this. And I will see you guys later. Bye. Let me know what you think of this project, and if you have any questions or something in particular you would like to see me make, or a product in particular you would like to see me use, feel free to leave a comment below. Thank you ever so much for watching, and until we meet again, have a most serendipitous day. Hugs to all. Love, Jewel.